In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 different ways I went against the grain in my family. Whether it's moving out to a totally different country at the age of 15 on my own, converting to Islam, starting 3 businesses. The life I'm living is not very typical, and it's definitely not what my family envisioned for me. Plus, I'll give you some perspective and advice on how to help your family understand your choices and your point of view, so that they can be your number 1 supporters no matter what you choose to do with your life. My name is Veronica Adali. I'm a CEO of a modest activewear brand, Fifth Generation Apparel, a content creator and photographer. I've been through the trenches of entrepreneurship, and now I'm sharing my story. I'm here to empower and help you work towards your dreams. Whether that means becoming a successful entrepreneur, up-leveling your mindset, or creating impactful content online. I create educational and motivational videos full of practical advice for women who are ready to have more control over their lives and are looking to follow their true passion. If you're ready to learn, get inspired, then listen up, my friend. First of all, I moved from Russia to New Zealand at the age of 15 on my own. Yeah. I actually have an entire video about it. I'm gonna link it over here. Make sure you check out the entire story if you're curious. I was going through a lot in my personal life, and there were a number of circumstances that contributed to me making that decision, with the blessing of my parents, to move to a totally different country on my own at 15. We didn't actually tell anyone. We didn't tell any of our extended family. My grandmother on my mom's side passed away. At that point, I was 14 when she passed. My granddad was still alive, and we didn't tell him, and we didn't tell my dad's family either. No one knew, because they would be shocked, understandably. So we did it very quietly, and we told them after the fact. Moving to a new country, especially at such a young age, is very challenging. And it was for me. However, if you are determined and willing to work hard to make it work for yourself in the new country, it's totally worth it. I was 15 when I moved, and I've learned a number of very valuable lessons. So if you want to move to a new country and you are a bit worried, I got you. First of all, you need to adapt quickly. You need to let go of doubt and focus on how you can make it work for yourself. It was very challenging for me, but I told myself that I had to be positive and focus on the bright side of things, and all of that, what I went through, was worth it. So you have to let go of doubt. If you're determined to make it work, you have to believe it. So let go of doubt and focus on adapting and making the circumstances work in your favor. You also need to accept help from others. In my case, my parents were my number 1 supporters in the move, and they supported me mentally and financially, which made it possible for me. I also stayed with a homestay family when I moved, and they showed me the ropes. They've introduced me to the city, to the country, to the customs, and they made that transition a lot smoother for me. So also, I had English, and that helped as well. And your mindset is everything. It's not only good for your self-confidence, but also for your own mental health, to maintain a positive outlook on things. And even though you might be experiencing a hardship when you move to a new country, or adversity from your extended family who don't understand it, you have to maintain a positive outlook and navigate through those stormy waters with a positive mindset. It will be your number one asset, and it will help you get through whatever challenge you face. When people found out, my teachers, grandparents, they were totally shocked. No one saw it coming, and I am glad that was already in New Zealand when everyone else found out. It was way better rather than trying to explain my decisions and decisions of my parents to everyone in our life. We just did the deed. And it might have been cruel, but at the time that was the best decision because we were focused. I'm glad that I didn't have to deal with unwarranted advice or comments or telling me that I was crazy. I knew that was crazy, and I didn't need the naysayers telling me it was crazy. So not telling people, extended people, acquaintances, teachers, whatnot, was the best decision for me because I was able to focus on my mindset and my outlook on things, so I could prepare for the transition and make it smooth for myself rather than listening to people's criticism, and in turn that would put doubt in my heart and in my mind, and that was going to be entirely unhelpful and unproductive. So I definitely ruffled a few feathers. I definitely shocked a lot of people, but it was a done deal. And if I were to do it again, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd keep it to myself just for the sake of me. And that's sometimes what you gotta do. You gotta do it, and then rather than asking for permission, you do it and then you apologize later for not including people. But that's just my experience, and it worked out for me. Everyone's on board now. Well, all of the relevant people are on board. So it is what it is. Moving on to point number 2. Converting to Islam. For those of you who don't know, I am a convert to Islam. I have a video about my story and about my journey to Islam. I'm going to link it over here. Check it out. I'm not going to go into too much detail over here, but brief story. I researched Islam. I came across Islam. I researched Islam. I converted to Islam. It's been 9 years. I've never looked back. I love my life as a Muslim hijabi woman. But you can imagine it was a bit of a shock to people in my life. And it usually is because it's such a bold lifestyle change. The journey of converting to Islam is not an easy one. And a lot of converts face challenges when it comes to bringing their non-Muslim family on board and helping them understand their decision. Sometimes they get disowned, sometimes the relationship suffers, creates distance between them, but it doesn't have to happen this way. And I think that every single convert, the number one thing that they fear is how me converting to Islam would impact my relationship with my family. They're the people who you love and care about the most, and you want them to understand. And of course, you hope for the best possible outcome. So that can be the deciding factor for them, whether they take that step or not, or how soon they take that step. Because they don't want to be judged and they don't want to ruin their relationship with their family. And negative reaction from family members can be explained by a number of reasons. Some family members might feel like they are losing the person that they know and love. They might feel betrayed by the decision of that person, that they're choosing a faith that is different from theirs. They might feel like their opinion and their wants for that person are not important, and that just puts a lot of pressure on them. Also, Islamophobia and misconceptions about Islam that are continuously being spread through mainstream media, annoyingly so, they also play a huge part. Islamophobia plays a huge part on how our non-Muslim family reacts to our decision to convert. And all of these reasons might add to the friction within your relationship. Islam is one of the fastest growing religions in the entire world, and it's important for us to be a good example for people around us. There are many different ways that you can show your family and help them understand why Islam is the right choice for you. Don't worry about giving them arguments why they should be pro-Islam. You just need to show them over time that Islam has made you a better person, a better son or daughter, a brother or sister, just a better person, a more grateful person, and show them that you are truly living your best life. Also, you have to remain patient. You are the one going against the grain. You have to be patient and not get frustrated if you get questions that might not make sense to you, or they might be difficult, or they might be Islamophobic. You have to keep your cool. They might not understand it at the beginning, but with time, when they see how important Islam is for you, inshallah, they will come around. And in most cases, that's what happens. And if they do come to you with questions, make sure you answer them respectfully. If you don't have the correct answer yet, since if you're a new revert, do your research and answer it then, rather than just trying to come up with a response on the fly. You can also share resources like articles, videos, podcasts with your family to help them better understand Islam and why it's so important to you. Okay, number 3. I chose to go to film school instead of pursuing a career in nursing. When I moved to New Zealand, I focused on sciences. With the guidance of my family, my mom and my dad both thought it would be very wise of me to pursue a career in nursing. I would get trained as a nurse. I would definitely be able to find a job since it's always needed. I'd be set. I was set on studying nursing and becoming a nurse up until the point when I almost failed all of my science papers. Like, sciences were just not for me. I'm also very squeamish. I don't like blood. I don't like bodily fluids. And as soon as I realized that, I knew that I would make a terrible nurse and I would be very unhappy in that career path. So I had to break it to my family that I wanted to study film instead. That's quite a leap there. The first step was for me to explain why I wanted to study film. And I had my ducks in a row. I actually went and saw a paid career guidance counsel who actually did a number of exercises with me and had a very in-depth conversation with me about my interests, about my strengths. And she actually helped me to pick a course that would be aligned with my strengths and my interests. See, I was always into filmmaking. I've been vlogging since I was about 10 when I first got my camera. I created a lot of content that never ended up on the internet just because I didn't know it was a thing. But I filmed music videos, I filmed TV shows, I just filmed everything. Sadly, all of those files are on my old computer back in Russia, and I'm not sure if they can ever be recovered. I hope I will be able to recover them one day just for the memory's sake. But I've always been creative. I've always been visual. I've always loved telling stories through video. And bingo. I was so passionate about it. And that career counsel woman, she was great. She was great to work with. She helped me pick a course. So when I actually went to my parents to tell them that nursing was not for me and this other course was perfect for me, I had all of my reasons and I had everything figured out. I had a new plan and I delivered that plan to my parents. They could see that I was thorough, I was serious, I was prepared, and I was willing to make it work, and I was determined to make it work. So they trusted me, even though they probably would have preferred me go into nursing. A lot of people are great at arts and they want to pursue a career in arts, and their family, being old school, a different generation, they might be a little bit resistant to the idea for practical reasons. Their families might be worried that they won't be able to get a job, that the arts field is so uncertain and you don't have a certain skill that guarantees you a job. They just want you to be practical. They want you to be a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer. They just want you, or engineer as well. That's another big one. A lot of the older generation, they want you to do that just because that's what they've been told and that's what they grew up with. If you have a certain career, like a doctor, you'll have a job, you're going to have a well-paid job, and you'll be set for life. So that's the mindset that you have to work with. It would have been very practical of me to become a nurse. I would have become a registered nurse. I would have got a job instantly, and I probably would have a job all the time. When COVID happened, nurses are always needed. It's that job that is always needed in the society. So, even though my parents are super supportive, they probably would have loved me going into nursing just for my own benefit, because our parents want the best for us. So when you approach your parents with the information that you want to choose a completely different career path from what they've envisioned for you, you have to have your ducks in a row. You need to be able to address their fears and their concerns and show them that you have a plan. All right, I completed my degree in film. I graduated with a bachelor's of performing and screen arts. I enjoyed that degree. I majored in production. I thought I was going to work my way up and become a big shot Hollywood producer one day. Well, that didn't work out because I decided to start my own business. I actually started 3 different businesses, and the first business was an actors agency, which is in the film industry. I was still in the film industry. And then I started a photography business, and then I ended up founding a modest activewear brand, which has nothing to do with my film degree. So I had a job. It was an okay job, a steady income, and I decided to start a business from scratch. It worked out, alhamdulillah. But starting a business is a tough decision to make. There is a risk of failure and it's very uncertain. You have to put in a lot of work and sometimes a lot of financial investment without any guarantees. You don't have those problems when you work 9 to 5. You know how much you're going to earn. You have your job, a solid income. You can plan for the future. You don't get that when you decide to start a business from scratch. Some family members might just not understand why you would want to approach your life like that and take a huge risk rather than staying employed. They might not see the benefits of starting your own business. They just might not share the same perspective that you do. And while we are on the topic of security, in your position, COVID happened and thousands and thousands and thousands of people lost their jobs. So sometimes secure jobs are also not so secure. So if your family is resistant to the idea of you starting a business, it's up to you to bring them around. You just have to do what you need to do, but you need to share a plan. You need to tell them your plan. You need to have a way of substituting your income while you're trying to build a business. And those of us who are in business know that overnight success is not a thing. And when you start a business, it takes a lot of grit and time and patience to build it to a point where it can sustain you and offer you so much more after that. But it's your responsibility to bring your family on board. You have to show commitment, dedication, and you need to show them that you're not doing it on a whim. You have a plan and you will not give up. They need to know that you are committed and are able to pull it off. So if you know your goals and you consistently work hard and share the milestones that you achieve in your business, your family will come around and support you. And last but certainly not least, I decided that I'm going to homeschool my kids, which is also going against the grain in what is considered normal. I've actually had a very bad experience in a public school setting from my primary school years all the way to high school. I used to stutter, and my teachers, instead of supporting me and helping me through my stutter and helping me overcome my stutter, they would mock me in front of the entire class. They'd make me read out loud in front of the entire class. And that affected me negatively. It still affects me as an adult. Being humiliated in front of everybody, asking me questions like, why can't you read? Why are you reading like that? I actually got a black medal that stated the number of words I could read per minute while being timed. As a kid who stutters, it still makes me very angry because it affected me so much. Even now, when you give me a text that I've never read before and you ask me to read it out loud, I would struggle. My ears would burn. I'd probably stutter a little bit. It's still affecting me as an adult, what I went through in my primary school years. So you can imagine why I don't want that for my kids, even though in New Zealand, it's mostly good if you choose the right school, but still, I don't want my kids to deal with what I went through as a kid. Also, because of my traumatic experience with reading, I hated books. I didn't want to read. I didn't find joy in reading books, and what a disservice that's been for me. Honestly, I enjoy books now. I listen to audiobooks so much. I go through books like that. I love consuming books and through audiobooks and learning, and I have all of that, but I had to work hard to get there on my own. So yeah. Thank you for nothing, primary school teachers. Anyways, moving on. I want to homeschool my kids because I want them to get the best education and the best experience ever. It will also give them more opportunities to explore things that they're interested in and they're passionate about. They can nurture their talents rather than doing something that doesn't come natural to them or something that doesn't interest them. They will be able to work and learn at their own pace and learn in the way that they prefer. Also, it's very important for me to spend more time with my kids and me being able to homeschool them. I understand it is a privilege and I totally get that not everyone's able to homeschool, but I am. So alhamdulillah, I have the flexibility and the freedom to homeschool my kids, and that's very exciting for me knowing that I'm going to spend more time with them. Growing up, my parents had to work. They had to both work because one income was not enough for us to survive. So my mom started working when I was 2 weeks old. Honestly, that young. I started daycare when I was 10 months old. My parents had to work, and I was also the only child, and I would always long for my mom and my parents and spending more time with them. Sometimes my parents had to work weekends, and I would just be at home on my own and like trying to keep myself busy. And I always wanted to spend more time with my parents. I remember that longing, and I want to give my kids more time with me if I can. So that's another factor why I want to homeschool my kids. No one in my family has ever homeschooled. My mom, she's kind of used to my personality now. She knows that when I make choices, I'm well informed, and I never make choices and decisions lightly. I usually make informed decisions, and I've developed a good rapport with her. She knows that I can be trusted, so she is all good. But I'm sure when, we tell our extended family, both on my side and on my husband's side, that our kids are not going to go to school and they're going to be homeschooled, I'm sure it's going to raise a few eyebrows, and it might not be as accepted as we want it to be, but that's okay. We have no problem going against the grain. And the main arguments are usually, well, how are your kids going to socialize with kids their own age? Socialization is never a problem. It's just not true. Homeschool kids are well-rounded and well-socialized human beings. They are able to develop friendships and relationships with people at different ages. They will do extracurricular activities. We will join a homeschooling group. They will get plenty of interaction with other kids, other tutors, and other areas of their life. That's not a problem. I've actually interviewed a fellow homeschooling mom, Angela Armstrong. I'm gonna link her interview here. And she also mentioned this in her interview, that there are so many opportunities for socialization. You have to be very careful what you say yes to, just because if you say yes to everything, you're going to be completely booked up and over-socialized. So let's bust that myth. Consider it busted. And like I said, they get to explore their interests, and they can dive deeper into things that interest them, rather than being forced to stop doing something that you're interested in, that you're enjoying, just because you're out of time and it's time to move on to the next subject. But in 2022, homeschooling is becoming way more accepted, and a lot of parents are choosing to homeschool for their own reasons. So there's nothing wrong with it, and there are so many benefits to homeschooling. Also, I do hope to travel in the future, and I don't want my kids to be tied to a system where they can't leave school. So yeah, these are my reasons why I want to homeschool. We're just gonna do what's right for us, even if some people might not agree. But our immediate family, they are on board, and once again, they just trust us to make the right choices for us. If you choose to go against the grain in your family, you have to have your ducks in a row so you can bring them on board of your decision. One of the most important things to remember is that you have to do what makes you happy, even if you have to go against the grain and make decisions that your family might not understand or approve of at the beginning. It's important for you to follow your truth and live your life authentically, because only you know your goals and you know why it's important for you to do that. If you only worry about pleasing people in your life, you might go down the path and realize later on that you're not happy. And that leads to living a life full of regret. And nobody wants that for you. You don't want that for yourself, and your family surely doesn't want that for you either. You should do what makes you happy, and over time, show your family that the decisions you're making are right for you. If you found value in this video, make sure you leave me a thumbs up, comment below, let me know. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you later. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel.